Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I make cheesesteak sandwiches, which is really basically kind of like Philly cheesesteaks, but it's my version. It's my kids' favorites, and so if you come over here, I'm going to show you what ingredients I use. So right here I have some just deluxe American cheese. I have some Land O'Lakes white American cheese. I do have some provolone. Here I have some seasoned sirloin Philly steak meat, which is actually my favorite one to try to make these sandwiches with because other ones I've tried do not turn out as good as this. I do have some sub buns. I have some spreadable Land O'Lakes butter. The seasonings I use is garlic powder. I do use my fajita Sazon, one of my favorites. I do use onion powder. And then I have some bell peppers, green bell pepper, red bell pepper, and onion. These which I will just slice up and throw in the air fryer. I'm not gonna cook them in the meat, but I will put them in the air fryer and place them on top. So I do have my stove already set at 350, so it is preheating so that I can get my bread ready. But I'll show you how I make these simple, easy cheesesteak sandwiches that my children love it. I'll show you guys. So what we're going to do is get started on our prep work, which will be really quickly. We just kind of need to slice these bell peppers up and this onion, and I'll show you what I do with them next. Okay guys, so as you can see, I sliced up my red bell pepper, my green bell pepper, and some onion. From there, what I do is I will add some olive oil. Olive oil is like my best friend in the kitchen. I will add some salt and pepper. And I'm going to just mix that around. Like if anything falls off on the cutting board, I'll put it back, but I'm gonna mix it around. And I'll show you what I do with this in a minute because we don't cook this in the meat. We actually throw this part in the air fryer. So I'll come back and show you what I do next. Okay guys, we're gonna get started on our bread. If you can tell, I have lined a pan because I don't want any oils or anything to get on there from the Philly meat. I do have a bread knife, if you can see that, and I'm just going to cut the bread in half. Now, after I cut the bread in half, well, I won't say half, I'm going to say to where I open it, just kind of like this. And then after I cut all of these, I'm going to come back and I'm going to butter them. So I always buy my bread fresh baked from the deli. If you would like to buy bread off the bread aisle, the sub buns, you could do that. I don't like that. I like fresh cooked bread, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna butter each piece. It doesn't have to be a ton of butter, but you wanna put a little bit of butter on it so that it can toast. Just like you would any other sandwich. Now, when I'm making large amounts, I do toast them in the oven. If I was making one by one, I might just toast it in a skillet face down, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. The bread needs to be buttered. So now that I have my bread buttered, I'm going to set it aside. And I'm gonna go ahead and start cooking my meat, and I will show you when I put this in the oven and what I do next. Okay guys, so I have gotten this pan going on a medium-high heat. I have spread apart my cheese that I will put on the bread once I place it in the oven. I'm gonna set this back in the fridge so that it's cool and it's ready to go. So when it's ready to be melted, we can melt it. But I'm gonna get started and show you how I cook the meat. All right guys, so our skillet has started to heat up, and I'm gonna go in with my all-time favorite, some olive oil. Not a ton, you know, just enough to where it doesn't stick. And I'm gonna start placing my little Philly steak patties on there. This is set on a medium-high heat, so all right, so now that we have those in there, I'll come back and show you what I do next. Okay, so now that we have our meat in the skillet, I'm going to show you what I do with the vegetables. I take them and I just kind of place them in my air fryer. I shake them around a little so it kind of looks like that. I'm going to place them in here. I'm going to turn it on. I'm also going to keep it on the roast setting. The roast setting is my most favorite setting. And I'm going to set it for, I'm going to say 6 minutes to start, and then we'll come back and check it. Okay guys, so as you can see, I flipped them, and I'm gonna go in with some of the baddest seasonings in the industry. Of course, you know, onion powder, garlic powder, and I'm gonna go in with my fajita Sazon. Enough of it because I don't add salt, and this isn't the saltiest seasoning, but it does have sodium in it, but it gives amazing flavor. I am going to add a little bit more fajita Sazon because this is how my kids like it. Like I said, it does have salt content in it, and that's the only reason that I go in with powders, because this is the only salt that will be going into it. It's not a ton of salt. I am going to give it a little bit more onion, a little bit more garlic, and we're going to keep cooking it. Okay guys, so our bell peppers and onions did cook for about 6 minutes. I am going to stir them and then cook them a little bit longer. So I'm going to give them a nice stir, and I'm going to put them back in at the same temperature of 375, and I'm going to put them on for another 6 minutes. On roast. Make sure they're at 6 minutes. We'll be back. So the one thing I did forget to say about when I'm cooking these cheesesteaks for my children, once it looks like the meat is done, and I do this with a lot of recipes, I always go back in with a little bit of water to kind of let it steam. The reason for that is I feel like when you add water to seasoning, it mixes a little bit better. So I will keep this still on a medium-high heat and continue to cook it. And that water is also going to absorb into the meat, keeping it juicy. So just another trick I do. So my son had a very interesting question for me, because a lot of these recipes I do is also to teach them how to cook for themselves. He said, Mom, how do you know when the meat is done? Once the meat is brown and you see this oil right here, that is when your meat is done. Even though I go in and I continue to add water because I continue to let the flavors merge, it doesn't matter how much water I add, it's still going to come back up and you're going to see that oil. And when you see that oil, you know the meat is done. But I feel like the more water that you put into it, the tender you make it, and the more you combine the seasoning. So as you can see, the water will dry up very fast and it will turn to oil again. As you can see, those are oils, it's not water. At this point, you can turn it off. You can turn it off and let these flavors combine. You could put a lid on it. Just let it sit there. Let it cool down, let the flavors merge, and everything will come together. Okay guys, so you can see our vegetables have been going for another 6 minutes. I'm gonna pause them. I'm gonna see what they're looking like. Oh goodness, almost dropped it. Oh, they're looking good. They're looking nice and almost sauteed. So what I'm gonna do is just let them sit in the air fryer. I'm gonna turn it off and we will come back to those when we're ready for them. Okay guys, so our meat is right here. It's cooling down, and the bread that we buttered earlier, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna throw it in the oven. Remember I told you I set the oven on, ooh, it's a little warm from sitting on top of the oven. But remember I told you I had it on 350 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this in so that it can start toasting, and it won't take very long to toast. We're gonna add the cheese and then I will show you what we do next. Okay guys, so I did put my bread in the oven. It's been in there for about 2 or 3 minutes. It is starting to kind of crisp a little, but because I don't want the bread to be hard, I'm gonna go ahead and take it out, and you'll see I will put cheese on each half. American, white American. I'll save the provolone for the top of the meat, but this is how I make these sandwiches. My kids really do enjoy these, so I like to make them for them. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and place this back in the oven. I don't want the bread to get so hard, but I do want the cheese to melt a little. Okay guys, so at this point, our cheese has melted some. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of the oven. Ooh. Our meat is still sitting here. Gonna remove that and kind of stir it up. Get those juices together since they've been combining. And what I'm going to do is just kind of scoop meat on here. My kids love these sandwiches. I don't know why. I just started making them years and years ago, and this is probably one of my kids' most favorite things that I make. They are like, Mom, make it for my birthday, make it for this special occasion, make it for this, make it for that. I'm like, okay. So I put a lot of meat on there for them. As much as I can. And they like a lot of cheese. I probably could put more, but you know, I don't want my kids to eat that much cheese. After that, I will go in with like these bell peppers and onions, just so they get some flavor. And I will turn my oven off right here, just because, give them a little bit of flavor. And I go in with the provolone cheese. I break it in half because I don't want to give them full pieces. I feel like 3 pieces of cheese on something is enough. So, and maybe that's coming from me because I don't eat so much cheese. And even though that I have turned my oven off, I will go ahead and sit this back in the oven to let that provolone melt a little. And I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, so we did put it in the oven. I did broil it for about 2 minutes just to melt that provolone cheese. But this is what it's looking like. Delicious. It's got really good flavor. And what you can do with this is dress it how you want. Put mayo, mustard, lettuce, tomato, pickles, jalapenos, ranch, chipotle ranch. Like anything is good on this sandwich. Luckily, my children are very minimal and they do like meat and cheese. My son Romeo likes ranch. I like lettuce and chipotle ranch on mine, but dress it how you want. And I will come back and show you what it's looking like. So these are my steak sandwiches for my children. Again, like I said, dress them like you want. They are very hot right now, and normally what I would do is like fold them and put them in foil over here and wrap them up kind of like a burrito. Okay guys, so here is the finished product. Again, like I said, if you would like to add mayo, lettuce, tomato, pickle, onions, jalapenos, you can to this sandwich, but because my kids are very simple, this is what we have. Okay guys, so this is the finished product. It's a very big sandwich, but I do want to taste it. So, Wow. Thank you guys for watching.